Good evening.
Good evening.
Well, I tell you what, we have certainly went to church, and I have, the praise service has been just awesome. I'm a little short, so thanks. Yeah, there we go. But I certainly want to, first of all, to God, who's the head of my life, I am just so blessed to be here. And I also want to take this opportunity to thank the pastor, who's the shepherd. And also, he has to be, I don't know him, but I know he's a visionary. Because only a visionary would put together a program that touches all aspects of the family concepts. Amen. And this week, I hope that you take full advantage of the speakers that he has on slate for you, because when I reviewed it, it's just awesome. Because that's what I do every day. You know, we think when I'm ministering to people about money, most of the time it's not about the money, but it's about the hurt. And they can't figure out why they can't move forward. But I know this week it's going to be a blessing for you, and I want to thank you for making me a part of this. I also want to thank the families at the altar committee for doing such a tremendous job. I mean, they've been on point. They've been so inspiring, so professional. And my daughter, who happens to be a part of that committee, I told her that they've just done a super job. And I want to thank you guys for making me feel so comfortable in coming in. I'm excited about having this opportunity. For the last 30 years, I've had this awesome opportunity of serving families in the metropolitan Atlanta area. And today, I have over 2,500 clients in the metropolitan area. And you would think that would be so because I've been in business so long, right? And so, but what I have found is that families, one of the things that causes rift within a family is not only outside activities they do, but I promise you 80% of the reason we're having a divorce rate in our communities is because of finances. When you do the research, it's going to be finances. So once you can resolve that issue, then you're halfway there. There's some other things that happen, but that is the biggest issue that we have today. So tonight, what we're going to do, we're going to talk about how to change the destiny of families and put them on the right track. I want you guys to take notes, and at the end of the presentation, if you have questions, I want you to feel free to ask those questions so maybe we can help you move forward. So, what we're going to do first, let me give you the meaning of wealth. You know, the name of my presentation is wealth management. And I want to give you the formula for what it takes to be wealthy. So if you were to take money plus or minus time, rate of return, minus out inflation, minus taxes equals wealth. So again, it's money plus time minus plus inflation. Subtract the taxes out and gives you wealth. Now, a lot of times when we're doing an investment portfolio, people look, oh, I get 10%. Well, you really haven't gotten 10% if the inflationary factor is 5. You see? So you got to take the 5 out, and then you got to take the tax liability if there is no tax shelter on that money. And most of us have our money sitting at the banks, and it's making nothing. 0.01%. So, but we have been conditioned to take our monies to the bank and it's going to be safe. But we have to understand with the system that we're in today, nothing is safe, right? So we got to start thinking outside the box. And so what we do, we try to educate clients so that they can begin to start thinking of alternatives. You got to take control of your finances. If you don't take control of them, then the system is going to take control of them for you. So what we're going to cover first, let's see if I do this. I'm not very good with technology.
point towards the patio. Okay.
I had it all set until it was button put. Now it won't move. See, it wasn't me, right? Okay, so tonight what we're going to do, we're going to cover budget. How many of you have a budget in your home? Sure, let's see it, raise your hand. Well, what I have found in working with families is that most people don't have a budget. That budget is somehow wandering around in their head. And you know that when the bills come in each month, that you're going to pay this, and whoever you can't pay goes to next month. So, and then that's kind of the way we operate. But if you want to track, you need to be able to track where your money is going. We need to look at what's coming in and the expenditures going out. And the only way you're going to be able to track that is with the budget. So we got some budget sheets here that we're going to pass out later, but I want you to see what you really have to work with. And after you have paid everything, and I'm gonna challenge you this. What you got to do first is give God His. Because you know I found that most people suffer because they're spending God's 10%. And they wonder why they can't keep any money. Well, you can't keep what's not yours. Right? So if you're not giving back to what God has given you, then it's not going to work for you. So in the financial industry, they always say, pay yourself first. No, pay God first. Then yourself, and then you give. Because if you don't write a check every month to yourself, then nobody else is going to write that check for you. Now, everybody's writing a check to the mortgage company, they're writing checks to the car companies, credit cards, they're all getting theirs, but what are you getting? What are you getting? So if you don't write that check, then you need to make sure that you put that in the agenda. And if you are not participating in a 401k or 403b or some kind of retirement plan, sometimes it's very hard to look up, the years have gone past, and you haven't saved anything. So I really love it because it's kind of forced savings. So what we're going to talk about first is we're going to talk about protection, income, and families. It's what we're going to talk about first. You guys see that? A large number of people in North America will face increasing challenges in 4 areas. They're going to talk about the labor market, low savings, the high cost of education, and budget deficits. So these are some of the major areas that we're concerned about. We're living in one of the wealthiest countries in the world, but many people still retire very poor. And people are not afraid of dying, they're afraid of living too long. Because if they live, they are wondering, how in the world who's going to take care of me? Where the money is coming from? And I'm telling you today that you can eliminate that by doing some simple planning. If you plan, then you will have security. When I first entered the industry about 30 years ago, the life expectancy was like 76. And today, guess what? The life expectancy is 95 to 100. So you can see from that, we are living in retirement almost as long as our working years. So we have to figure out a way, how are we going to survive? Well, where the money is going to come from? I was talking to a young woman the other day, and she was saying, I know my children is going to take care of me. I'm not worried, my kid's going to take care of me. They're not going to put me in a nursing home. Well, I got news for you. The kids have a life too, right? So how are they going to take off their jobs to come take care of you when you get sick? So what you got to do, you got to make sure that you put together something so that you know that you have some sense of security. That if you need a nurse, you can have a nurse to come into your home and take care of you, right? So we want you to control your future. The future is in your hands. It's not in the systems, but it's in your hands. Make money, save money, accumulate money, protect money. And then most of all, you got to understand how money works and make money work for you. The first block, there's 4 blocks, I think, of the financial portfolio that you need to look at. And the first one is that it needs to be protected. So you got to ask yourself, if something happens to me today, could my family survive financially? If I was out of the picture, could they minus my income and continue to live with the lifestyle that I have set up for them? How many of you can say yes to that? If you can't answer yes, then you need to make sure that estate is protected. Most people come to me and say, Joyce, I want to invest money. I want to set up an investment portfolio and don't have 1 penny in their emergency fund and no money in savings. So how are you going to get into some long-term investment and you don't have enough money to live on a day-to-day basis? What we suggest is that you have at least 3 months of living expenses set aside, preferably 6. So in case there's an emergency, or in case something happens, that you can go to and pull from and not have to use a charge account. You see? And here again, that's where we come into play, that 10% that you pay yourself each month. Your God is 10, and you pay yourself 10. And when that 10% has been accumulated to 3 months of living expenses, then you are set to go into a long-term investment. But if you don't have a savings, then it's going to be an issue. Now let's talk about debt. I know that there's nobody in here in debt, right? Nobody's in debt, everybody's good, right? But debt represents the largest portion of the financial portfolio. Most of the time when I do an analysis, the debt is anywhere from 45 to 51%. So that's high, right? So that means that every dollar that family earns, 51% is going out for debt. So that only leaves 49% for living expenses. So what we work on, we make sure that we show you some ways you can accelerate debt. And the way you accelerate debt, you can accelerate your mortgage, accelerate your car payment, accelerate your credit cards. So when they do you use a credit card and they tell you your payment is $50 a month, you better believe that that's just for their fees. How many of you paying it consistently every month don't see the balance going down? And so the reason for that is that 90 to 95% of that money goes for service administrative fees and services. But here's the kicker. If you pay that same $50 and you pay it 3 days before it's due, then 90% of the money goes to the principal. Did you know that? 90% goes to the principal. But if you pay on the date that it's due, or any time after, 90% goes for service, for the administrative fees. Now, a lot of people pay their credit cards, and if it's $50 that's due every month, then what they do is send in $100, right? But if you're not telling that company to apply to principal only, guess what? They're going to take service fees out of that money. They're going to take it out of the whole thing or treat it as an additional payment so that you don't get full credit for it. So what you got to do is give them the $50 that's due and tell them to apply the extra $50 to the principal. And if you do that, you'll find that your credit card will be paid off in half the time. You can do that with your car payments. If your car payment is $350, they have it financed for 5 years. If you pay it every 2 weeks versus once a month, then you'll get that car paid off in half the time. And you don't have to pay any extra money. You just have to make sure that if that payment is due on the 15th, that you pay half of the money the first of the month. And before the 15th, pay the other half. And instead of financing the car for 7 years, you can pay it off in 4. Amazing, right? So it's just a little tricks that you have to do. And we call that debt acceleration. And you can do the same with the mortgage. If you got a mortgage and the payment is, if you pay 13 payments a year versus paying 12, guess what? You can have the house paid off as a 30-year mortgage. You can pay it off in 19 years. If you pay 14 payments, then you're going to pay it off in about 12 or 13 years. Isn't that amazing? So she knows. Okay, so, and that's the way it works because it compounds. So you can let compounding work reverse on you, or you can take it and make it a positive. Because the credit card companies that charge you 19%, if you take 19% and divide it into 72, it's going to tell you how often that money doubles for them. But if you, if you invest your money and you get it 12%, that means your money's going to double every 6 years. So do you want your money working for you or against you? And it can do that with the compounding factor. Okay? So where do you put your money? If you want to pay taxes on your money now, then continue to put it in a checking account, savings account, CD, stock. And then at the end of the year, you're going to get a statement from the institution telling you how much taxes you got to pay on the interest, because it's not tax sheltered. What about tax later? The things that's taxed later is your 401k, your 403b, IRAs, self-IRAs, annuities, and pensions. It doesn't mean you're not going to ever pay taxes. It's just that you're going to pay them probably at age 70, after age 59 and a half, and it's going to put you in another tax bracket. You see? So some people think, well, if I put my money in a 401k, I never have to pay taxes. Oh, yes, you're just going to pay it later. You don't pay it as it's accumulating, but when you start taking it out, you're going to pay some taxes. Okay? What about tax advantage? Have anybody heard of that? There are some things that's tax advantage so you don't have to pay taxes. And one of them is a Roth IRA. Anybody heard of that? 529 program, college savings account, municipal bonds, health savings accounts. And with the health savings account, I want you to make sure that if you are participating in that, if you calculate really closely on how much you're spending per year so that you don't overfund it. Because if you overfund it, what? They're not going to give it back to you, right? So you got to make sure that you're kind of close to the margin as you possibly can be. And of course, life insurance, long-term care benefits. What do you know about annuities? Annuities is another, we're just giving a broad view of all the things that's available in the financial industry, but annuities is another tax shelter. People with annuities live longer. You know why? Because they don't have the stress or worried about what's going to happen to them when they retire. They know that as long as they live, they're going to have a check coming in. So that's a good feeling, right? So if you're getting a disbursement every month from a 401k or 403b or whatever it is, I hope that it's in some kind of annuity and that you have taken a lifetime payout versus a 10-year term. Because sometimes the provider or the administrator of these accounts don't tell you that if you take it out in 10 years, at the end of the 10 years, that's all your money. They're going to pay it out. And so then you're stuck with 65, 75, you won't have any money, right? So you got to make sure that you understand exactly what you're doing. You need counseling. You need to have some consultants on that before you go in and make that decision. I work a lot with the Emory healthcare retirees, and it's been amazing that the changes that we made in their lives by just diverting them to different scenarios. And because of that, they're now retiring and they know they're not going to have to worry about money because it's going to be there. Is it stop running? Okay. The other thing is the high cost of education. Most of you probably is like me. I have 2 daughters and they've been through, we got them through that college deal and that's done. But now my grandchildren is getting ready. I got a grandson who's getting ready to go to college in September. And every year it just goes up. Because if you go to a private school for 4 years, 4-year payout, you get about $139,000. $139,000. Now, if you don't make some kind of preparation for that, that child's going to go to school, graduate, and be stuck with that bill. And I just don't think that's fair. I think that we need to, so I think it's okay, you can always get a student loan. Well, that student loan is going to be with them almost until they get ready to retire. Because life is going to happen. They're going to get out of school, they're going to get married, they're going to start a family, so they just keep deferring the loan and deferring the loan. And when they look up, it's almost retirement age and that loan's still sitting there. So what you have to do is planning. And let me give you some little secrets to that. Of course, one of the things that you can do is the 529 if the children are young enough so that they can reap the residuals of that. But if your child is 12 years old or 13 years old, the 529 is not going to be a big factor because they don't have a lot of time to accumulate. So what I suggest, and a lot of times parents are putting 529s on their children and they don't even have a retirement account. So you can always find money for kids to go to school, but you can't find nobody's going to give you money for retirement, right? So what I suggest you do is set up a Roth IRA. And so that Roth IRA is in your name. Then after 5 years, age 59 and a half, whichever comes first, you can go in and pull that money out. And use it for whatever purpose you need it to. Because with the 529, if the child is in the child's name, then when they apply for college grants and college scholarship, it's going to look like they have assets. So it's kind of like the system counted against them. That's terrible, isn't it? So you work hard, you accumulate this count, and then they get ready to go to school and they say, well, we're not going to give them the Pell Grant because they already got this money. So you have to be very careful. You have to know how to navigate through that so that it won't end up being a loss for you. So if you got children and they're getting ready to go to school, they're going to be going to school, set up an IRA. You can put up to like $600 in it per year. And there's no taxes on it because you already pay taxes on the premiums before it goes in there. And when you pull it out, after 5 years, there's no penalties. So you can go in and out of that account and use it whenever you want to. How many people, is there any people in here that's self-employed? Oh, okay. So if you're self-employed, you have an opportunity to set up what we call a SEP IRA. And with the SEP IRA, you can put in 25% of the earnings of that business and write it off as a tax deduction. Is that not better than a 401k? Yes, much better, right? So the system has tax shelters to help you navigate through. You just got to know where they are and how to utilize them. So I want you to think of that as you begin your planning. We have, you know, when I'm working with a client, I don't ever know, because we're based on goals, your goals and objectives and where you want to go and what you want to do. So if I'm working with someone and they don't have any goals and objectives, then I don't really know that there's much that I can do. You know, because we don't know where to take you. So we spend a lot of time sitting with the client and trying to figure out exactly what you need, where you want to go, when you want to get there, and then we can come up with a plan that will meet that need. I don't know what my time frame, I'm running behind. Okay, so you have, so someone pass out the 6 steps that show the,
most people, I think, already.
yeah, there's 6 steps on that. The first one is budget, is income. When we do does everyone have one of those? Angela, could you bring some more of the 6-step pages? Because those are the areas that's very central to your financial portfolio. You gotta understand and know where you're going through that. How many of you have a will? That's amazing. Everybody in the state of Georgia needs a will. Because, and you think, well, why do I need a will? I don't have anything. If you work, you have something.
Yeah.
You know? So if something happens to you and you don't have a will, guess what? The state comes in and they liquidate that estate. And so if you're married, your wife needs a will and you need one. Because if you're married and you have children, and you have children and you don't have a will, guess what? The children get a third, whatever their estate is. They become your partners, whether you want them to or not. So you think automatically that in case something happens to me, my wife is going to get what I have? No. If you don't have a will, then they're going to say everybody has a third. And let me tell you a story. I had a client that had 3 children, and her husband passed, and she wanted to renovate her house and do some things to it. And 2 of the kids was in agreement because he didn't have a will when he died. So 2 of the kids was in agreement. The 3rd child said, I'm not doing it. I want my share. I don't want you refinancing anything. I just want you to give me my money. And so it's just a big rift. So what she had to do when she got ready to refinance, she had to pull his money out and give it to him because he wanted his share. So you think, okay, my kids are going to do what's right. They don't always do what's right, because they think what's yours is theirs, right? So we have to be very careful with that. So the will is just invaluable because it gives directives. If you don't have directives, then it's going to be an area. So we talked about cash flow, we talked about debt management, we talked about emergency fund, protection of estates, building wealth. Your wealth is going to be your IRAs and 401ks, 403bs, whatever it is. That's where the wealth management is going to come from. And so, so we can guide you through that part. And then when you have done all this, you want to preserve whatever you put together, and the way you preserve that is through wealth management. That's the will, the trust. And if you have more than one car, 2 cars, and 1 house, you need a trust. If you have valuables, things that's valuable that you want to pass on, you need to put it in a trust so that whoever receives them don't have to pay taxes at the onset of that. Because that wasn't the intent, right? So, at this time, I guess I'll ask, is there any questions? Do you have any questions? We kind of covered a lot. Yes.
Yes, with regards to a will, is it best to have a will or a living trust? And I understand that the will can be contested, but the living trust cannot. Is that correct?
Right. Well, the living trust is a tax shelter, is what it is. Because it puts everything in that trust and it passes from that trust to whoever you designated it to be. And that person then has the liabilities then on the person that receives it versus the estate.
Right.
If you don't have it in a trust, then everything in that estate is taxable. And then they disperse. How would you like to have, I had a client that had a real estate business. He had 27 houses, and when he went on to heaven, his estate was worth $2.5 million. But by the time they liquidated all those houses, his benefactors, his children, only got $500,000. Because all the loans had to be paid, all the taxes, everything. So all he had worked for all this time, because he didn't protect it through a shelter, it was wiped out. Any other question? You know, in the state of Georgia, you don't have to go to an attorney to get a will done. You can, as long as you write down your wishes and whatever you want, have it notarized, and have it witnessed, then it becomes legal in the state of Georgia. So if you can't get to the attorney, that's what you need to do. Any other questions?
I got another question up here. So is it true that a will could actually be contested for a number of years, and while it's in probate, it loses, the manager of it, or somehow the money's going away while they're
Yeah, the management fees. And in case if you have a will, it's the executor. He's charging fees to manage that estate. So it needs to be in a position so it can be liquidated as quickly as possible, so that you won't give away what you worked for.
So would you suggest a living trust over a will if there were of the 2 choices?
Well, it depends on what you have. On what you have of value. It might not be necessary. You might be able to make everybody beneficiaries to this and that. Okay, but you want to make sure that whatever you leave, that when they receive it, they don't have to pay taxes. Any other question?
Over here.
Yes.
If you have, like for monies that you have in the bank or what have you, if you already have made POD on your checking accounts and savings and monies, is that taxable for the children or whoever left as a pay on death beneficiaries or whatever?
I don't understand the question. You said if you have a checking account?
Well, checking savings, so we learned this in the will class that we had here at the church, to make, put on your accounts for the monies that you have, pay on death, upon death. And that way it doesn't go into probate and all that.
But I'm going to tell you what, if whoever is on that account need to get to that account before they freeze the account. Because if they don't have a will, normally they don't get there in time to, because the minute it's known that he's passed, that person's gone, then they lock down that account. Or if it's in a will, it'll just go right on to them. Okay. You have questions? Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Okay, yes. It's a SEP IRA. SEP, S-E-P-T, Separate Employees Pension. That's what it is. Huh? Yeah, that's what it stands for. And it's for a person that works for themselves without any employees. So if you have employees, you can't discriminate. You got to put in something for them, but then it becomes a write-off for the company as well. If you give them a percentage, then that's another tax shelter for you. Mm-hmm.
Does it have to be matching or can it
No, you don't have to match. You can decide how much you want to put in. Yes. Mm-hmm. Okay. Pardon? Municipal bond is as part of it's an investment account, kind of like a mutual fund. But with the bond, normally it's one of the surest things for protection, because if I'm working with a client and they're a little leery about the market, we're going to put some bonds in that portfolio so that portfolio, if the market goes down, the account can go all the way down. Because when the market goes down, bonds go up. But when the market goes up, bond stabilizes. They come down, but you're always going to get some percentage on them. Okay? Yeah, but municipal bonds is good. It's a good tax shelter for you to use. Okay?
would that be federal or state?
It doesn't matter. Mm-mm. It doesn't matter. Because a lot of people do government security bonds. And
But that depends on the rating, right? Because sometimes when the rating goes down, that affects the bond.
right, but the bonds is also what they use when the market is going crazy. You know, like the government will use, that's why the bonds go up and the market goes down, because they need to use that money and they pay a fee for it. So, and the municipal bonds, by the way, is city municipalities. It's used for city governments. Mm-hmm. So that's why you can always be kind of assured that you're going to get some kind of return on them, because they're used for municipalities. Yes. Any? Okay.
Can you tell me a little bit, can you elaborate a little bit more on the self-IRA for a business?
I'm sorry.
I said, can you elaborate a little bit more on the self-IRA for a business, and how does it work if it's a partnership?
Well, if it's a partnership, you're going to stand alone, because each partner is equal. So each partner can have a self-IRA because that's their business. So you wouldn't add them on as an employee. So they would have their set, and you would have yours. And it's really a good deal, because you'll be able to put into it. If you make $100,000 and you can put in $25,000, you're going to pay taxes on $75,000, right? So it's really kind of awesome. Mm-hmm. Any other questions? And then with the SEP IRA, with the Roth IRA, we have to select the funding. That, you know, because it could be different funds. It could be an annuity, it could be mutual funds, it could be bonds, it could be, because we'll select some kind of funding to put it in. Mm-hmm. Okay. I tell you what, you guys, you have a question?
No, I just have, yeah, I do. I just want to know who would like to invite me to their will this evening.
Let me share this with you, then I'm going to turn it back over to the MC. But I think included in that paperwork that we passed out, that we have a survey in there. In the areas, if you have any areas that you are interested in and would like to have an analysis done, we're going to do a complimentary analysis for you at no cost, because you're here, so you can see where you are. And if you went to a financial planner, you pay like $500 to have that done. So, but if you would like to receive a complimentary one, then we'll do it for you, so you know where you stand, you know where your money is. And you know, in our communities, we don't get financial need analysis done. We just go, somebody tell us what we need, and we give them our money. And we don't know what's going on with it, right? You know, they don't even have the courtesy to come and review your accounts with you. You gotta find them and ask them for advice, because they won't schedule you in automatically to come and take care of it. Okay, I think we're behind schedule a little bit. Okay, any other questions?
Do you offer like workshops or anything? You said you're going to do complimentary analysis for us. Is there any other thing we can do to try to get more financial literate?
No, what we do, we gather data, we take the data, and then we're going to print out, it's like a booklet. So it'll show you where you stand with cash flow, where you stand with debt management, what you need, how much money you need in your emergency account. Protection is really revealing, because we wonder why we don't have money, and it's because we're always trying to take care of our wants and needs at the same time. We want everything, and we want all our needs met, and it's just not enough money coming in most cases to do that. So if it's a little secret here, if you're willing to give up your wants for 2 years, then you can have everything that you want. You can't become financially independent just sacrificing for 2 years.
2 years.
2 years. And let me tell you another secret. If you can sacrifice and save $10,000, that $10,000, at one time $10,000, say if you're 29, by the time you're 65, it's $1 million. Just that one-time investment, because of the compounding factor. Well, if you're 50, I can tell you how much you have to save. It won't be 10,000, it might be 30. But you can become, that's the neat part about it, you can become at any age if you want the $1 million. You can have it, but the longer you wait, the more it costs in order to have it.
But where do you got to put it to get that compounding factor?
Well, you invest it. It doesn't matter. It's just like in a mutual fund, for instance, or in an annuity. We know over time, and I had a hard time conceiving this when I started in the industry, how was going to get 10% or 12%. And so my mentor just said, Joyce, put it in there, and you will see. So I just did that, but over time, every 6 years, that money will double. So if you put in $5,000 a day, 6 years from now, it's going to be 10. And then another 6, because it's going to average out over time. Now, some years it's going to be 15%, sometimes it's going to be 12, sometimes it might be 8, but it's going to average out to be 10. I don't know why that works, but it does.
That's all mutual funds or all annuities?
Is any investment should kind of average you out unless you are in a interest-bearing, just an interest-bearing account. You probably won't be able to do that. But if you put your money out, invest it, it just compounds and you make money. And what? Yes. You do estate planning. I'm working with a grandmother now who's setting up an estate, a legacy for her grandchildren. So we're getting ready to pass her, making sure that her boys and her grandchildren get what she's worked for, so that we can liquidate it. So it's pretty awesome. Any other questions? I tell you what, you guys have been just awesome, and I hope that you've enjoyed it. And I hope the information will have some kind of value. And we look forward to answering any questions that you may have, getting back with you if you desire. Okay? So I'd like to turn it back over to the MC. Before I give it back to them, I have some business partners here I want to recognize. I have Mr. and Mrs. Joseph. They're business partners. So I want to thank them for coming. And I also have Valento Golden, who's a business partner. And I'm just really happy to see them. And then, of course, you know my daughter Angela and her husband Willie. I don't know where Jasmine is. She's probably somewhere asleep. Yeah. But okay, well, thank you guys so much, and I'll pass it back.